Welcome back to We Do Pay It Forward. I'm so excited to have Katelyn Bullock of ENTA Solutions. She's also the board chair of Women In and a published author. I can't wait for you all to hear her story and her journey as an entrepreneur. Welcome. I'm Milena Radakovic, and this is We Do Pay It Forward. I'm so excited to have Katelyn Bullock of ENTA Solutions. I can't wait for you to hear her story and journey as an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much for having me, Milena.
I'm so glad you were here. You have such an amazing story. Not only are you a co-founder of this amazing business, but you were also a published author and you started a non-for-profit. How do you have time for everything?
Not really sure. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I think that helps.
Okay.
You know, so like I spend my extra hours doing the things. But I started ENTA Solutions about 7 years ago with my business partner, Adam Kolozetti, and because this is WEDO, so important, we decided we were going to split it 50-50, which lawyers hate. Like anybody starting a business, they're like, never do 50-50 with a partner. But what we decided was this is the future. This is what future equal opportunity looks like. It's us collaborating, and if we can't come to a solution, we haven't talked long enough and we haven't figured it out. So we were really set on aligning our values right off the get-go and how we would work through things. And that's what became our value proposition in our company, culture.
Love it.
Yeah, really, really cool journey.
I always say culture is extremely important for entrepreneurs, and especially for new entrepreneurs that are starting their journey. When they're looking on their business strategy, always figure out what kind of culture they want to have.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you built your culture with your co-founder, because that's not easy, because you all, like you said, you have to come together to shape it.
Totally. So, you know, Peter Drucker says culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? And those famous words. But really, I think culture is a strategy, right? Because a really well executed animated business culture, like brought to life, it's in everything you do and say, it is a strategy because it's going to give you productivity, profits, everything in your company. So it's so important for entrepreneurs to take that mindset and understand. Now there's companies out there who like culture isn't important to them, and it's like people are a number and they process and hey, that is a way to run a business. It is, and it can be profitable. But as an entrepreneur, you got to decide what kind of business you want to have. And if you want to have this engaged culture, if you want to have a company where people are plugged in and excited to come to work every day, then you make it part of your strategy. And what I think a lot of entrepreneurs in their scale up journey, they find is that they lose their culture. And you get people saying, oh, remember the good old days? Right?
That's right. As
they start to build and they grow and they add more people, and it tends to happen fast, and the culture doesn't have a chance to catch up, and it morphs into something out of their control. So like, who's driving your bus? So for us, it was this realization. So Adam and I, it was just the two of us in the company at the time, and we were going up the elevator. We got a really big client, oil and gas client here in Calgary, and we were going up the elevator. We're like, game faces on, like as soon as those doors open, we're like, here it comes, right? And they walk in, and we were in a boardroom with another consultant. I will not mention the other consultant. They have a whole building with their name on it. So like, we were little fish in this big pond finally, and they had us review the other consultant's work, which was kind of odd, but we did it, right? And it was this moment where we said to the client, like, technically it's accurate, but it doesn't feel like you. And they went, how do you know that? You've been here for 2 weeks. They've been working with us for 6 months. How do you know that it isn't us? Like, you're right, that's exactly what it is. Like, they couldn't put their finger on why it didn't feel right, but it didn't feel right. And I said, well, knowing what I know of your culture, and I've only been here 2 weeks, but what I've seen, I don't feel like your people are gonna resonate with this document. And so that's where like culture in everything you do and everything you say, like think about it when you're starting to write your processes, when you're implementing a new tool, when you're creating your social media. What is the soul of the business? And how do I bring it to life in every aspect of it? And that helps reinforce the culture in every chance you get.
I love that. You know, when I joined Nexus Exhibits, one of the things that I realized from from the former owner is that we were missing, as much as he said it's a family culture, I didn't see that in fruition. And the first thing I did as well is build on the culture. And I think one of the things for the culture, and I hope you agree, what is your core values?
Absolutely.
And that's, I think, really important in everything that, from hiring to suppliers, we always say, what are our core values? And we live by them.
Yes. Absolutely. You walk the walk, you talk the talk, and it's all stemmed from your core values. And I can't tell entrepreneurs enough how important it is to define it, call it out. There is power in that. Even as a person, and this is kind of my individual leadership journey, I didn't find out my personal core values until I was 30 years old, almost. And part of it was because I wasn't always living by them, and I didn't really want to face myself. And that was a hard realization, and I mean, it's kind of vulnerable for me to share, but it was. And then the moment I called them out, I had to look at myself and be like, you got this, come on. And it was this sense of clarity, and even things in my business lined up and things in my life lined up, and it was this huge epiphany moment that I knew who I wanted to be, and I was finally proud of who I was. And so that was a hard journey in my leadership. And we read these books From Good to Great. They tell you to do it, but the exercise of actually doing it is powerful. I don't know, have you done it?
Yes.
You've defined it's intense, right?
Yes. So personally in my business, I follow EOS.
Yes.
Entrepreneur's Operating System, right? And part of your culture is your overall vision, which starts with your core value.
Yes.
And it's something that anytime we bring somebody new in, we go through that journey. 100%. So I agree with you. And I believe you're absolutely right. I think that's the difference between a very strong business leader and an entrepreneur, because almost every entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur that I have met, always thinks about their culture.
Yeah.
And I love that you pointed that out.
Yeah, it's a hard journey for people to go through, and that's why we come in and help define culture at ENTA, and it's super helpful because you will only go so far doing it yourself, and it takes that facilitator to push you outside of your comfort zone to go that level deeper and really challenge it and really make it part of the soul, right? And even when we want to do that investigate, we don't facilitate our own. We hire an external person to run our program on us, because we need to get pushed out of our comfort zone as well. So that's why it's so valuable. Companies go, oh, we can do it, right? And they get into a room and they hash it out. And that's great, at least they've thought about it, but having a facilitator come in and take them to a level deeper and really throw things against it, because they're going to come up to situations where those values will be challenged. And so to have some forethought and say, okay, what are you going to do when this happens? What if this happens? And they go, okay, I can see how my values are going to be challenged in my day-to-day, and I know exactly how I want to operate and how I'm going to expect my people to operate, right? And that allows them to have their staff make decisions in a way that they would back up, even when they're not there. And that's the key part as a leader, right? Eventually you need to step away. You can't be in every decision-making frame. Right. So how have you trained your people to make the decisions that you align with? So
I love that.
Yeah, it really helps.
So what would you say is the next stage for ENTA and for you as a leader? So you've got this great culture, and what's the next stage for you in growing your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. From the time those elevators open, like the story I told you, 7 years have gone by, and over the pandemic, we had a huge pivot. We grew to a team of 10. And honestly, our biggest challenge right now is we're starting to really transition out of being in the business, right? And so as two people who were the business, we were every hat, right? Mm-hmm. We now have an amazing team of 10 people. We have videographers, we have social media account people, we have process management people and business improvement people, is handing these hats off and trusting them to carry the torch on, right? And then stepping out. And it's sometimes we got to step back in and then step back out again. And then so we're going through that scaling phase, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of learning. But that's our biggest challenge right now is taking these hats off and going, okay, which hat do we need to take off next? Okay, let's find that skill set. Let's take that hat off. Let's pass the torch. Let's keep it going, right? So
Oh, I love that.
it's an exciting time.
I love hearing stories like this. I love hearing the journeys.
Yeah.
So I've got one last question.
Yes.
If there's a female leader that you look up to who has inspired you, who would that be?
Great question. There has been very few female leaders in my career experience, because I worked construction, oil and gas, and there hasn't been a whole lot, right? And being an engineer, I was male dominated, right? But I was working for an oil and gas client, and they had an executive female leader, and her name is Lisa Shorb, and she was pivotal in my personal growth, in my career growth, and I think part of making ENTA what it is. And it's just her nuggets of wisdom. And one thing that she said actually is why I helped start Women In with Candida Tachi. She said, how do you find success? And I immediately thought, my success in my company, my career, these are the things I thought of. And then she goes, no, I want you to define success in a broader term, like relationships, spirituality, your family, your friendships. Like, how do you define success in all aspects of your life? And it was this like cold splash of reality that, oh my gosh, I've had such a narrow view of what success looks like. And I could be growing success in so many other areas. And that was a pivotal moment for me to find my spirituality again.
Oh, wonderful.
And to find what now Women In has coined whole self success, and what ENTA has coined whole business success. Because it's finding the self-actualization of a person, like all of you, right, in Women In. And then in ENTA, it's your processes, your people, your culture, and your tools, finding the harmony in those.
Right.
And so it was that epiphany moment that led to some really key elements of both ENTA, and then the inspiration of why Women In is necessary, right? Because we so often have a narrow view, and we're our hardest critics, and we don't realize that we're finding success every day in different aspects of our life. So that was so important.
I love that. And I think that is one of the reasons why WEDO Canada is so dear to me, and why I wanted to start the foundation to help bring women together, to learn from each other. We are all educators. We all have our strengths, and it doesn't have to be all through like regular education, right? That's why these podcasts are so important, because we can learn from each other's experience.
Absolutely. It is so powerful too, because it's storytelling.
That's right.
Right? It's not just, learning, here's the rules, here's how you should follow it, but it's the power of story. And coming along on a journey with you and having a story and our experiences, it's powerful, right? And it's inspirational, and I really thank you for doing this. It's just an amazing initiative, and the women I've met by doing this is so great. It's phenomenal.
Well, thank you so much, Katelyn. I hope you enjoyed this series, and please, how do we get a hold of you and ENTA?
Absolutely. You can go to entasolutions.org for our website. You can contact me on LinkedIn. I am avid on LinkedIn, and I'm Katelyn Bullock on LinkedIn, so come find me. Reach out to us. We're happy to talk culture any day. We look forward to working with you and working more with WEDO, because just an amazing foundation.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more interviews. Thank you to our sponsor, Dream Reach Achieve, for paying it forward and supporting women leaders and entrepreneurs. If you are inspired and want to join the WEDO community, then go to WEDOCanada.com and sponsor and nominate the next inspiring woman entrepreneur.